I'm Jason UFC, and today we have a story about Brendan Schaub names his pick for the UFC heavyweight who's the dark horse that can dethrone the current UFC heavyweight champion Jon Bones Jones. Brendan Schaub has named the heavyweight dark horse that can dethrone the UFC heavyweight champion Jon Jones. It was just over a week ago that Jon Jones defeated Cyril Gane in the heavyweight main event at UFC 285. He submitted Cyril Gane in 2 minutes, forcing Gane to tap out quick in the first. That was Jon Jones' first fight since 2020. It's been 3 years since Jon Jones fought. Jon Bones Jones, currently 35 years old, after being out of the octagon for 3 years, powerfully charged back and claimed the vacant heavyweight title as well as earning performance of the night bonus. With the victory, Jon Jones now has his sights set on the former two-time heavyweight champion Stipe Miocic, considered to be the greatest UFC heavyweight champion of all time. Stipe Miocic holds the record for most consecutive title defenses at three, okay, as well as the most successful title defenses at four, okay, total. Although Miocic looks like he would be the next challenge for Jon Jones, Brendan Schaub has his own thoughts on who he believes could dethrone Jon Bones Jones. Schaub, speaking in a recent episode of The Fighter and the Kid, spoke about who could be the biggest challenge for Jon Jones, saying, "I think the dark horse that can dethrone Jon Jones would be Tom Aspinall. If Tom is 100% healthy with his needs, Yep, with his knee. His boxing is ridiculous. His footwork, he's quick, good cardio, black belt on the ground, good wrestling. He's a handful, but with his leg injury, he's still a ways out. Yes, a very, very, very far ways out. While saying that Stipe Miocic, Sergey Pavlovich, or even Curtis Blades could indeed be I think they're all tough matchups for Jon Jones. Brendan Shaw believes it is a healthy Tom Aspinall who would be Jon Jones' biggest challenge, even more than Stipe Miocic. That's interesting. Aspinall, who is currently 12-3, he's already had 3 MMA losses. I mean, come on. Last fought in July of 2022, where he was defeated by Curtis Blades by TKO, suffering a knee injury in the first round, I believe. Tom Aspinall went under the knife for a torn MCL, torn meniscus, as well as some ACL damage. There's no word on when the Brit Tom Aspinall will be able to return to the octagon. So yeah, that's Tom Aspinall. That's, I mean, I know he's like the people's choice. I kind of wanted, before I crown him, as they say in the NFL, before I crown Tom Aspinall as being the biggest threat to Jon Jones, I would like to have seen him fight, a full fight versus Curtis Blades. I think in that fight, that was, pretty close to like who's the number one contender type of a fight. But if Tom Aspinall goes in that fight, stops, Curtis Blades, then I would say he would be a bigger problem for Jon Jones. But, respectfully, say what you want to say. He did lose the fight versus Curtis Blades because of an injury, right? And, we haven't seen him in the octagon since that injury. So I don't want to crown him, you know, before we see him back in the octagon, versus one of these top five, maybe even top 10, top five, top. I would like to see Tom Aspinall versus Cyril Gane. I think that would be a really, really good fight to see who's, right there in that top five position. Because Tom Aspinall is going to be out for a while. Cyril Gane is coming off of a loss to Jon Jones, so I don't expect. He may come back soon and just get like a nice little quick fight because Cyril Gane got tapped out in the first round. So, but I think Cyril Gane should take a few more months off. I just don't think when Cyril Gane is ready to fight. I don't think Tom Aspinall will be ready to fight. So who is Tom Aspinall going to fight? Maybe he'll fight the loser of Sergey Pavlovich versus Curtis Blades, right? Like if Curtis Blades lose, I think whoever loses, but obviously if Curtis Blades lose, I think some people would want to see a rematch between Curtis Blades and Tom Aspinall. I don't think Curtis Blades would decline that. It was a freak injury. And if Sergey Pavlovich loses, I would like to see Pavlovich versus Tom Aspinall, or Aspinall versus Cyril Gane. But let me know your opinion of this story. Do you agree with Brendan Schaub that Tom Aspinall is the biggest threat to Jon Jones? The one more name in there that I don't think is the biggest threat, but a name we have to start thinking about because it's the UFC, is Brock Lesnar, right? We have to throw that name in there. I know some people hate the idea, but Brock Lesnar is in the he's in the discussion of, if Jon Jones goes and defeats Stipe Miocic, if Sergey Pavlovich versus Curtis Blades is kind of a snoozer and people are just like, whatever, who cares? I'm pretty sure there will be some people saying like, hey, we want to see Jon Jones face Brock Lesnar at the end of this year instead of the winner of Sergey Pavlovich versus Curtis Blades. But if that fight is, if we get a definitive winner, one of these two guys go in that fight and finish the other opponent, we're not trying to get a fifth round decision, right? Like, let's not do that. Like, you got to go in there and finish Blades, or you got to finish Pavlovich. The winner of that fight should be the number one contender. So we'll see. But also Jon Jones has to fight Miocic first, right? Like, we're talking about Tom Aspinall. Tom Aspinall is not even, scheduled for a fight. So Jon Jones has to go through what some people would consider the greatest heavyweight champion of all time, Stipe Miocic, first, right? He has to first go through that. That's not going to be easy, right? We're talking about Tom Aspinall, but Tom Aspinall hasn't really defeated anyone like that, right? On that level. And Stipe Miocic has. So Jon Jones has. The great thing that we're seeing about this is that, the heavyweight division is definitely a fire been lit under them. And now we're seeing like these great contenders. And I think we're going to see a lot more great contenders. Even though Jon Jones is the champion, I just think in the heavyweight division, we haven't had a lot of activity the last 2, maybe even 3 years. Not too much activity, but we've seen since Jon Jones has won the belt, you see people like Miocic talking. You see Tom Aspinall, who's injured. He's talking about how Jon Jones being a champion is motivating him. Sergey Pavlovich versus Curtis Blades. That's going to be a really good fight. So the heavyweight division is getting a lot more interesting in like the last 2 weeks, and we'll see where does it go. But first up for Jon Jones is Stipe Miocic. If Jon Jones could beat Stipe Miocic, names like Tom Aspinall comes up, Sergey Pavlovich, Curtis Blades, and Brock Lesnar. But I'm Jason, UFC. Did I name my dark horse? If I'm going to name a dark horse, just real quick, I would say Sergey Pavlovich. I think he is obviously the dark horse. But truthfully, it's the heavyweight division, and I think Miocic could defeat Jones. I think Pavlovich could defeat Jones. I think Blades could defeat Jones. I think Jones could defeat Miocic, Pavlovich, Blades. It's very, very tight in the heavyweight division. One punch could change the entire division. So all of them could probably defeat each other on any given day. But we'll see who comes out the heavyweight champion next year at this time. But I'm Jason, UFC. Today we have a story about Brendan Schaub names his pick for the UFC heavyweight dark horse that he thinks can dethrone the current UFC heavyweight champion, Jon Bones Jones, the greatest of all time. Hit the like button, hit the subscribe button, hit the $1 donation button, and please tune in to the next video on this channel. Thanks a million for watching.